How rich investors think differently from poor investors. That's what we're jumping into here today, guys. What we're going to cover is the 8 ways the rich think differently. We're also going to go through a caution on making money. We're going to talk about the one thing you can change your life with. Okay, before I get started though, I want to bring something up. Okay, so first off, what is rich? How would you define rich? If I asked you who's rich, who's not rich, everybody's gonna have a different definition. You know, they may say, well, they drive a nice car, so they're rich. Or they may say, you know, they have a good relationship, so they're rich. Or they have lots of money because they have a big house, so that means they're rich. What is rich? Okay, think about that for a minute. What would you say somebody that rich is? So I'd love to hear what you think, okay? But really think about this. Really take a few minutes and say, what is rich? What is really somebody that is really rich? So many people make a lot of money, but they are absolutely broke. They spend more than they make, okay? They put on an image that they have lots of money. They drive a fancy car. They have a nice house. I've seen this a lot with doctors. I've seen this a lot with lawyers. They're one paycheck away from losing everything, okay? This might seem attractive, but it's really a mirage, right? It's really something that is not going to be worth living because you're one check away from being completely broke. I look at rich as this is my definition of rich. How long can you live without having to work? So if you stopped working right now, if you stopped producing income on any level right now today, how many months, how many years, how many days, how many hours could you survive? And the longer that period of time is, the richer you are. So that takes into account a few things. It takes into account how much money you spend, right? And it takes into account how much passive income or investment income you actually have. So you can solve that equation by spending less, or you can solve that equation by earning more passive income. That's what I describe as rich. Now, lots of times we'll do wholesales, we'll do fix and flips, and then we can take that money and we can invest it, or we can buy rental properties or invest in apartment complexes or whatever the case may be. But it's all about how long can I live without having to work, meaning I am living off my investments. The longer this is, the longer this period of time is, the richer you are, okay? That's what rich is, financially rich. Now, I think there's a richness in family relationships. I think there's a richness in spirituality. I think there's a richness in friends. There's a lot of different riches, but if we talk about financial rich, it's how long you can go without having to work, how long that income is going to last for you. So many people think that if they have a lot of money, it will solve all their problems. Everything would be fine if I had as much money as the Joneses have. I would be fine if I had as much money as so-and-so have, right? Like that's the type of stuff a lot of people get into this thing. This is simply not the case. This is not the case. You see, what happens is money magnifies. It's a magnifying glass. So if you're a jerk, you're gonna be a bigger jerk with money. If you're generous, you're gonna be more generous with money. So it's about being the person, doing the things that person does, and then having is the last step. It's be, do, have. You have to be the person, do the things, and then you'll have, but it starts with being the right person. So this is a trap I see a lot of people falling into. I've fallen into this trap a time or two myself. I'll be happy when ... okay? I'll be happy when I have more money. I'll be happy when I have a new car. I'll be happy when I retire. I'll be happy when I don't have to work every single day. I'll be happy this, I'll be happy that. That is a horrible way to live, because the truth is, you won't be happy then, okay? Because you'll be waiting on the next thing. When you say, I'll be happy when ... you're giving yourself conditions upon happiness. And the truth is, once you fulfill that condition, you'll have another condition for you to be happy. So the question is happiness is a choice, not a destination, right? The thing is, choose to be happy now. If you're not happy now, you're not gonna be happy with money. Money is not gonna solve the problem of you being happy. It's gonna magnify the problem. You're gonna have more problems. Guys, I know a lot of people with a lot of money that are absolutely miserable, right? Money didn't solve the problem, it just magnified their problem. So this is something. If you're not happy now, you're not gonna be happy with money. So you have a decision to make. And the decision is choose to be happy now, regardless of your circumstances. Don't make your happiness conditioned upon things. Make your happiness conditioned upon you making a choice to say, I'm going to choose to be happy. Something to really think about. And this comes into other things because I've seen a lot of people ruining relationships to chase the dollar. So success without fulfillment is failure, right? This is what I'm talking about. If you have all the money, but you don't have any fulfillment, you really have failed at the whole thing, right? So these are some important things. So the truth is, I've met lots of millionaires that are unhappy. Some have lost or left their families and found that their wealth was meaningless, right? Some have lost their health. Some have lost their religion and their faith. So lots of things happen here, guys. And I'm not saying that wanting to make money and hard work towards it is a bad thing. I am not saying that at all. It is a fantastic thing. We grow through the journey. We make high goals, not because they're easy, but because they're hard. Because when we do hard things, that takes the best out of us. We have to give our very best. We have to stretch ourselves. These are great things, but along the way, we also need to enjoy the journey. See what you learn along the way. Be able to recognize things, be able to look back, see who you meet along the way. Be the person you want to be now, not waiting for money to come. Be, do, have. Be the person that you want to be. Do the things those people do, and then you'll reap the rewards. And one of those big things, guys, is choose to be happy now. If you're going around saying, I'll be happy when I make some money, I'll be happy when I do my first deal, I'll be happy when I do my 50th deal, it doesn't work like that, guys. Be happy now, or you won't be happy when you make the money. And enjoy the people and meet the relationships you make. People that you go after where you're trying to help them with their health situation, you can make friendships with them. And you know what? When you go and you approach them and you're happy and you're sincere, you're going to have a better connection with them where they're going to say, I really just want to work with Ryan because he's taking great care of me. So that's the foundation that I want to lay here as we start getting into these 8 ways the rich think differently, okay? 8 ways the rich think differently. Number 1, investment versus cost. Look at things as an investment rather than look at things as a cost. As an investment, it pays you more money than you spent. Making a good investment can pay off. These investments could be on education, it could be on software, it could be on training, it could be on coaching, it could be on the correct marketing, it could be on testing. These are things where somebody that's rich doesn't say, oh, I'm throwing my money away because I'm going to invest in some education. They're saying, I am investing in some education, and that education is, if I put my mind to it and do the things, it should be producing me a return. Those are things that rich think differently, where somebody that's poor is like, hey, I'm not going to spend money on that. Somebody that's rich is saying, I'm going to invest, and when I invest, I'm going to make a return on that. So the rich say, I will wisely spend money with planning on making more money. Now, wisely spend money, right? This isn't just being foolish, okay? Number 2 principle of the rich I want to talk about here is leverage, okay, guys? If you have to move a very large rock, the best thing you can do is get a lever, which is typically a tree branch or something like that where you can get underneath that. You need a large lever, okay? A lever allows you to move something more than you could move on your own. One of the simplest levers that a lot of people don't think about is a hinge in a door, right? It's kind of a lever. You're moving a big door with not a lot of effort because that hinge is making that, similar to a lever, okay? This is the idea of leverage. The rich know they have to leverage to have success. What can be leveraged is really the question. Well, you can leverage other people's time. I can pay somebody. I was talking to a buddy of mine just earlier today. He's like, I pay somebody to go door knocking about every day. If he spends the time, spends 8 hours door knocking, we end up with a deal every day. That's amazing. So you could pay somebody to do that. You're taking on the risk of doing that, and then you get the reward when they find deals. You can leverage other people's experience. I want to be where someone else is. Find somebody that's there and follow what they did. You can leverage somebody else's experience. You can leverage other people's money. You can have other people giving money. These are called hard money lenders, okay? Other people's time. Hire somebody hourly, doing something that you would do. Others' experiences. Finding an expert and then following them. Emulate what they do. Avoid the mistakes that they made. other people's money, using OPM, other people's money is what that stands for, is a great way to do that. OPM helps you by doing a deal you wouldn't otherwise be able to do. Don't let money stop you from doing deals. If you find great deals, you can find the money to do that. There's lots of hard money lenders out there that are saying, hey, if you've got a good enough deal, I'm interested in doing this. I do deals where some people don't bring any money to the table because they find such a great deal. Also, OPM helps you to do more than one deal. You may only be able to do one deal at a time. Now you can do 2 deals at a time. That's going to help you. Using hard money is a great way to accomplish all of this. Okay, number 3 of how the rich investors think differently than the poor is return on time. Okay, return on time. The rich look at how many hours will I spend versus how much will I make? What is my return on time? There are many ways to make money, but when you look at the time, it's not much money at all. So yes, you can do something, but you may only make $1 an hour. So I want to be making the highest return on time that I possibly can. The rich want to leverage their time. How can I make the most amount of money with the least amount of effort, time, with the least amount of risk? That's my trifecta that I look at all the time, is most amount of money, least amount of effort, least amount of risk. Now there is effort. This isn't get rich quick or those things, but you're saying, how can I minimize that? That's what the rich is doing. That's a litmus test I like to use. What can give me the highest return for my time that I put into that? Now there's a big caution here, guys. You've got to be very careful with this because it can get you going down the wrong path. And this is where there is a learning curve. I talked to another investor this morning and he said, you know what, Ryan, just like you said, that first deal was my hardest. And now he's on his 4th deal. And he's like, that first deal took me years to do. My second deal took me months to do. So there is a learning curve. You have to work harder getting started when it's running, right? You have to work a lot harder. When it's running, it's a lot easier. Education and learning is not included in the time for working. If you're spending time getting educated, if you're spending time learning, that is not part of working hours. That's not part of you doing the investment. That's part of you learning and getting educated. That's part of that investment that you're making into yourself that you can pay off if you choose to follow those things for many years to come. The money and the time that I spent educating myself on real estate has paid huge dividends and continue to pay dividends. I get dividends when I read a book. I get dividends on these types of things time and time again. Okay, number 4 of the rich. The rich know to spend less than you make. This is just, I don't care how much money you make, okay? Spending less than you make and investing the difference. This is the key to long-term freedom, financial success, being rich, is spending less than you make and investing the difference. Now, don't forget the second part of that, investing the difference. This is really important. Spend less than you make. This is something that every single person listening to me right now could do. How can I spend less than I am currently spending, and I can take that money and I can go make an investment? This should be a set amount. You could say, I'm going to invest 10% of what I make, or 20% of what I make, or 50% of what I make. You want to limit what you spend and maximize what you invest. The more you can invest, the faster you're going to have what is really rich. This habit makes the largest difference. If you can master this, it will absolutely change your life. And I want to give you an example of this. CNBC reported a janitor that secretly amassed $8 million of fortune and left most of it to his library and hospital. Okay, guys, this is a guy that's a janitor. He's making $30,000 to $50,000 a year. And before he passed away, he accumulated $8 million because he lived on less than he made. He invested the difference, and on a janitor salary, he had $8 million. You don't need to earn massive paychecks to become a millionaire. As one-time Vermont janitor-based gas station attendant Ronald Red demonstrated, you can reach 7-figure mark on a modest salary. Unbeknownst to everyone around him, nobody knew this guy had all this money until he died at age 92 in June 2014. Red had amassed $8 million thanks to smart spending and investing habits. That's incredible, guys. That is incredible. That is not what you see most of the time. He was a hard worker, but I don't think anybody had any idea he was a multi-millionaire. Not just a millionaire, he was a multi-millionaire. millionaire. Anyone can do this, okay? ROI, that's principle number 5 here, return on investment. Return on investment. The rich look at everything as a return on investment. So how do you calculate this? You talk about how much money did I get back on investment, minus the money I invested, minus all the costs I had equals my profit, okay? So let's go through this. Let's say that I get $150,000 back on a house, okay? And let's say I've invested $100,000 on that house. So I've got a $50,000 gross profit, but then I've got some cost, agent fees and that type of stuff. And so let's say that's $30,000. So that equals my profit. Let's say my profit now is $20,000. I'm just throwing some round figures, okay? So ROI. So my profit, that's $20,000 divided by the number of days I had it out, okay? So then I say, okay, it was $20,000 and I had it out for, I don't know how long, 20 days, so I made $1,000 a day. And then if I can do that $1,000 a day, then I times that by 365 days, which means $365,000 divided by the investment. How much did I have into the investment? I had $100,000 into that, or $130,000 into that. That is going to give me my rate of return, or my ROI, and that's going to annualize my ROI. This is really important because you can do an investment where it seems like you don't make a lot of money, but you do it really fast. That return on investment can be very high. So the rich are always looking at what type of return I'm making on my investments. The rich look at this before they make these types of investments, before making these investments. Okay, number 6, opportunity costs. This is what you give up when you are doing something else. This is really important. So, for example, if you invest $10,000 into a property, then you can't use that money for other things, okay? So how much could have you made with other investments on that same $10,000. If you put $10,000 in a certificate of deposit, you made 1%, then you lost the opportunity of making that 1%. Your opportunity costs would be what you could have done with that money, okay? This is important. So for example, if you do a hard money loan with your $10,000 and you made a 15% return, your opportunity cost is the difference between what you were able to do and what you did do, so that would be 14%. So if you did the CD instead of doing the hard money, your opportunity cost was that 14% difference. There's always an opportunity cost. Opportunity cost has to do with time, it has to do with money. That's some of the secrets that the rich do that the poor investors don't think about. Step number 7, the rich have a plan. This may surprise you, but the rich really have a plan. If you followed me for a little while now, you've probably heard me talk about this, and I will talk about it again because it is so important. Reverse engineer your success. What do you want? What's the next step to get there? So, hey, I wanna have some passive income coming in. Okay, how are we gonna get that passive income? We're gonna buy 5 rental properties. Okay, and we wanna have them paid off, and we wanna do that in the next 10 years or 20 years or whatever the case is. Okay, great, how are we gonna do that? So you keep reversing engineering your success, and it's gonna come down to the next step for me is to do a deal. So if I'm gonna do a deal, how am I going to do a deal? Well, I need to actually meet with some sellers. If I wanna meet with some sellers, how am I gonna do that? Well, I need to make some offers. Well, if I'm gonna make some offers, how many people do I need to talk to? How many leads do I need to talk to? How many phone conversations do I need to have? How many properties do I need to find? So that is all about reverse engineering your success. If you don't know where you're going, every road will get you nowhere. So important, guys. Let's say you want to do a real estate deal. How many offers do you need to make? Appointments you need to go on? Phone calls you need to make? How many motivated sellers do you actually need to find? The rich have a plan. They think long term. They break it down week by week what they need to do, okay? So here's a pro tip. We have the Next Deal roadmap that does this for you. So this is something to take into consideration, and so you guys can check that out. Okay, reasonable expectations is number 8. And this is really important. It's not going to be easy, okay? The rich know it's going to be a lot of work. They know it's going to take a lot of time. They know there's going to be lots of bumps in the road. It's never going to be perfect, but they realize that's the beauty in it, okay? They realize that success is hidden to those that are not willing to go through the challenges and go through the trials. That's the whole beauty of this, is like most people aren't willing to go through the trials. They're not willing to go through the setbacks. They're not willing to go through the investment. They're not willing to go through the education. They're not willing to get uncomfortable. They're not willing to go talk to strangers. They're not willing to do these things. And that's the beauty of all of that, because as those who are willing break through that wall, and then they're able to make things happen, and everybody else complains that it can't be done. So that's the beauty of all this. Success is hidden. That's the idea. So 8 ways the real rich think differently. Way number 1 is investment versus cost. Way number 2 is leverage. Way number 3 is return on time. Way number 4 is live on less and invest the difference. Then we get to ROI, return on investments. Rich also know about opportunity cost. And when we talk about the rich having a plan where they reverse engineer their success. And lastly, the rich think differently by having reasonable expectations. They don't think, oh, it's all going to happen. Rome's going to be built in a day. They realize it's going to take time. They're good on themselves. They're good to other people because they realize it's going to take some time. Those are the 8 ways that the rich think differently.